Muy buenos días. ¿Me
Hello.
escuchan? Muy buenos días.
Buenos días, perfecto.
Ok, muy buenos días. Vamos a dar 5 minutos más para que se sigan conectando más participantes. 8:35. ¿Ah?
Bueno, muy buenos días. Mi nombre es Alberto Valencia, yo soy el director ejecutivo del Consejo Profesional de Ingeniería de Petróleos. Les doy estar en este nuevo emprendimiento, digamos, o más bien expansión, digamos, del conocimiento que tenemos de las geociencias. Pero lógicamente,
Bien, bien, Galeano, necesito el favorcito. Es
hablar
que hay una vaca ahí que se quiere meter para el lado del
un
maíz
momento
del
de seguridad
vecino.
primero, no hay ningún simulacro ni nada,
Sí.
pero por cualquier, ya saben cuáles son las rutas de
Ah,
evacuación.
bueno, listo, Galeano. Listo,
También,
pues.
pues, lógicamente vamos a
Bueno,
tratar
gracias.
nuestro canal de YouTube del Consejo Profesional de Ingeniería de Petróleos. Y, lógicamente, pues, los invitamos acá a suscribirnos, que hay muchos más. Luego vamos a ver unas
Esa
palabras de
Luisa.
apertura del CPIP.
Bien,
Tercero
¿cómo estás?
será
Aquí nos
el
perdimos. Tocó
aporte
pasarnos para
de
allá para una
Allen
bodeja petrolífera.
Sinor, que nos va a dar un
Y a mí
overview
acá me dice
de
que
las
como están haciendo
competencias
mantenimiento
geotermales
ahí,
en
entonces
términos
que tienen que
generales,
configurar las 10 personas, o sea,
a
son más virtualmente que...
Ah, apenas, porque la
cargo de
conexión fue
Guillermo
ahorita.
Hoyos y este servidor Alberto Valencia. Y también tenemos una presentación
¿Pero coges dos buses o usted sirve uno solo?
Uno solo, uno directo.
conversatorio
Uno
con todas las
directo desde
personas
Suárez, ¿qué
que
es
se
Suárez?
han unido hoy
Pero no es
y
Transmilenio, ¿no?
Sí,
pues
también.
strategiones que
Pero
son
ahí viene
necesarias
caminando de la autopista,
para
digamos.
Sí.
Ah, ya.
vislumbrar, digamos, todas las competencias
Sí.
que
Bien, está
deben
bien, es
tener
fácil.
los profesionales en esta iniciativa de la geotermia. Entonces, vamos a comenzar con el himno nacional. Les agradezco. Okay, I'll stand up. Come on. It's good.
Excuse me, perdón.
And net zero. So I've been working for the last 2 years on developing the geothermal council. Cesar is on my council, so I'll be showing you more about this. We don't need to go into details about this. Develop people to where they can do workforce development. And we do this by working with our partners. Our partners are all the major oil and gas companies and I thought this would be good. So our customers today are Saudi Aramco, British Petroleum, Cheniere, Chevron, ConocoPhillips, Ecopetrol, yes, and Halliburton. So it sees all the list. This is 20 member
Buenos días.
companies today. Develop the skills as well. So PetroSkills was initially developed in 2001, rebranded early last year. What's really good, we actually instructor-led. We have 150 instructor-led courses. Currently, we have 80 direct employees and 150 consultants, expert consultants, helping us develop all of this material. Very impressive.
Capaz de...
And this is what it looks like today. We have alliance members. We also have software and learning management. So as you're doing the development, the software is tracking you and teaching you the learning management system. So you see, what we have is upstream oil and gas, midstream, downstream, and then we have greenhouse. We have carbon capture, sequestration. We also have hydrogen. Here I am in geothermal, biofuels, and circular economy. We do not have solar yet. We're still working on that. So our purpose is collaboration. We're not trying to develop all the material. We're working with partners all around the world in the future. Now this is hard to see, but what it's showing here on the bottom, take geothermal. 90% of the skills that we have in oil and gas apply directly to geothermal. We still have others like seismicity, temperature effects on tubulars, etc. But this is showing how far we are already with greenhouse, carbon capture, carbon sequestration, green, blue hydrogen, and of course offshore wind. And you can't see all this, but I can make this available. I'm going to skip this slide, but department stores that changed how quickly. And then we have things like Walmart, big box centers across many places around the world. 5 times. What if geothermal is the 5th disruption? If you do geothermal right, very, very small land footprint, I can put a 70, I could do that. Greenhouses, green hydrogen, carbon capture, desalinization, waste recovery, abandoned wells, co-production, workforce. These are all the things that geothermal can help us develop. I head up the council. Here's Alain Bonneville. He has degrees in geology, volcanology years, Halliburton, OMV, Oxy, and Repsol. But this is changing as we move forward. But these are the people today that are helping us guide the development that we need. From the Department of Energy. And it's taking oil and gas skills to geothermal. And it's the CompSci Alliance is on the Committee for Workforce Development. People don't know this, but just in the United States, there are 574 recognized Indian tribes in the U.S. 574. It's a big number. So not only are we developing workforce for people, but also for indigenous. When we think of workforce development, and this is geothermal workforce skill developments, it's understanding the skills, drilling and construction, operations and maintenance. And you look at all the skills developed, and this is not quite all of them. But these skills are very similar to oil and gas if we apply them correctly. Oil and gas training to geothermal. Here's an example of well source supervisor development program. Again, this easily applies as an example to geothermal development. Today, we have 10 different skill groups: site selection, characterization, reservoir characterization, project management, or uses. It's desalinization and purification. And I'll go into this a little bit more. In green hydrogen, we have 99 modules just on safety. So the alternative uses: desalinization, water purification, and hydrogen production of hydrogen. So geothermal has distillation and also has electricity. We could do green hydrogen about abandoned wells. You could use that to bring up heat. You could use that to bring up electricity if you have enough energy. Places around the world like Iceland especially use greenhouse gas for heat. Greenhouse. This is carbon capture sequestration. And this is heating and cooling. The different types of geothermal that we're training. Currently, this is the outlook, the studies, and Cesar, in the past, I actually gave you access to this data room. So wellbore construction, 35 years. Reservoir, 44 years. So that for Africa, for Kenya. He's worked on 4 continents. He's an expert on power plants and how we develop it. So this is example of one of our courses. Understanding geothermal and uses. Geothermal energy benefits and application. The nature is what it would look like. But in this training, you learn so many things. It's e-learning solutions combining with industry knowledge, expertise, content, and technology to develop workforce. You have reading assignments, case studies, you have quizzes, we call them tests, and experiential activities take you through this training, the learning management. So we have these slides, and I'm sorry that's not all in Spanish, but it takes you through each one of these topics, and it helps you and this is some more of the applications, the direct use applications of. Then you look at the e-learning, what you're going to learn, defining conventional geothermal, various, and other rock. And then we have this one that's just developed, Nature and Dynamics of Geothermal, misunderstood by so many people. How the earth mechanisms operate, the influence of geothermal gradients. And this, what is the types of rock you're going to be going through? So I made this go a little bit faster. This is my background. So started with Amoco, which became BP. Worked on their most challenging, their drill bit company from number 4 to number 1 around the world. Some of my patents have generated over $2 billion each. Weatherford, I left to help them develop, go through chapter 11. This one's very interesting. This is developing an alternative for hydraulic fracturing. No, this is pulsed plasma that can go just by pushing a button. Yes, thank you. And if you have questions, go through Cesar or call me directly. Is not where we've been. In the past, we drilled into wells where there was water and the water was circulating. But if we go into hot, dry rock, as you have across Colombia, you could go anywhere across the country.
Bueno, tenemos ahora la sesión abierta para preguntas, entonces agradecemos colocarlas en el Messenger o pues si quieren hacerla directamente, por favor.
So I'm trying to stop this a little bit faster. I was hoping I put as much Spanish as I could in it, but I want people to understand it's not just going, what I see across the US, geothermal power is good, but actually heat is probably better that we can develop the quick. Okay, good. All right. Are there any other questions?
According to the data of AIA, the people who are employed in which way or are to take the geothermal work?
Very good question. World oil and gas. They had a problem, they were number 4, they're back to number 1. And I had a meeting with them 2 weeks ago on this very topic because attendance is going down for the last 4 years, very bad. And what they hear is that oil and gas is bad, but that's not true. Oil and gas is not going away. We need oil and gas skills to take geothermal forward. What I see is legacy geothermal do not understand how to drill. But as we start drilling into hotter areas, as we start into hot, dry rock, we can drill anywhere around the world. Depleted the water so much, they don't have much water. Kenya has been told for 10 years now they're losing water and they're depleting the water levels. So we need oil and gas, but what I'm telling universities is think about maybe have variations of still developing petroleum training and things, but you can also have them learn more about geothermal and community colleges about what if we give you the training and skills developed for these people. And community colleges, you can get the skills for geothermal cheaper. Good question.
Thank you very much.
Sí, César, sí, señor Owens. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. What about if we use multilateral, like in la faja del Orinoco, multilateral?
Very good question. That's happening in Germany. The cost of doing that and the heat you get back out is not as good as people think it is. In fact, it can be quite bad. So there's a company in the United States, in California. They just spent $6 million doing a lattice, very little energy. The ones that are going right now in other places, I could send you documents. The governments, can you get energy from it? Yes. Does it compete with stimulating the rock, kind of like we do today? No. But here's the other, pumped it down, and over a 1-year period, saw fractures grow out 1,500 feet. So it's just pumping pressure. So these are the things a lot of people are not aware of. So closed loop, will it work? Yes. It's going to be very fast and you don't have a very big contact.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a really great question. I'm glad you asked that. I try not to be negative on it, but all of the closed loop systems I've seen today are very expensive. Oil skills.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Allen. So we have another question here from the main room. What is your opinion? How you will be the best, the new alternative of energy sources, please?
Thank you for that question. That's exactly what we're working on today. So one of the slides that I showed, and it's surprising, between 80 and 90% of the oil and gas skills that we have and been working on for decades apply directly to carbon capture. We're developing and filling in what I call the spots that we don't have it complete. And I'll give you an example. So in geothermal, we have great experts in drilling and great experts in completions, but most of them aren't modeling oil and gas coming up. So if you start looking at the modeling, we have to improve the modeling. And that's one of the things that works for hot, dry rock so far. So what I would say is over 90% of all the skills that we have today, and that's what I'm working on right now. And I would tell you, I'm trying to make as many courses as that they're getting training. But this way, you don't have to fly people all around the world and hotels. What if we could do this cheaper? But we also do in-person teaching. I have volcanic rock, how to drill hard rock better. And I have a presentation that's prepared for them. And it's based on all the research and development of going into several countries like the Philippines, etc., where they're drilling now 2 to 3 times faster and further because we changed the type of way they were drilling.
Okay, another question here is,
Do you think that this development of those competencies requires a university undergraduate intervention, or do you think that is more relevant to do some extra studies as postgraduates or masters or diplomas or whatever?
I think there are some courses, like if you were petroleum engineering, we could add additional courses to help. That's part one. Afford it, too expensive. What if we could give them the skills that we need, or they need, just to do that job? And that's the opportunity. So in the universities, I'm showing them we could help you with the degrees. I don't want to go back to college for 4 years to learn how to do geothermal. I would like to learn that in less than 6 months and become really, and then we take you through to skilled. Skilled means you can do it by yourself. So your training takes you through different levels of training. So as you're developing your skills, we can see how you're progressing.
Thank you very much. Any more
Alberto,
questions? ¿Alguna otra pregunta? Sorry, can you go ahead, please?
Oh, if I would hope, going through Cesar, any questions you have after this, and if there's questions you want to know about additional learning, not just for geothermal, but for these other types, whether it's we could show you and where we're headed. And if you want to partner with us, we can show you how to expedite, go faster, that skill development.
Alan, are you familiar with the pivoting point?
The what?
Pivoting point. PCP.
Yes, yes. Philippines, yes, yes. I've talked to them, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So a former company so I went and raised $450 million offer for phase one. Phase one. It was taking 3 50 megawatt plants to 1,000 megawatts each. How much? It was because some things were not correct from the founder of the company. So I left, I came here helping PetroSkills, the CompZ Alliance, but I'm also in the process of starting up a new geothermal company. And where my targets are placed, oh my God, there is so much energy along the coast. It's amazing. Across the country.
Yeah. Gustavo, you have the time to do the question, please.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mr. Lawrence. I had the following question. I wonder if you know. If you know what universities around the world are of.
Seen any doctors? What I've seen are a couple of universities in the United States changing their name from oil and gas. I would say University of Texas at Austin. One of their members, PhD, he's a former colleague of mine at for geothermal. But I haven't seen how it's going to be structured yet for them. Instead, what I've been doing is going to the universities, and a lot of universities out there that I see that have a lot of that training. But there is, in France, so one of them better. So there are places around, there's just not a lot. No, Gustavo, thank you.
Thank you. We have another question here in the main room. The facility to produce energy will take for a period of time.
Yes. This is environmental. It could take 5 to 6 different levels you have to go through, which can take up to 10 years for permit. Thermal, they can get it much quicker. But the processes government-wise for permitting needs to be like oil and gas in just a couple of months. And we know everything's lined up. We need to get lined. Everybody's permitting is different. I would say California is some of the worst permitting because they need more electricity. So if you can work with the government directly and you can show your background, you can show the technologies, what you're doing, how you're going to be safe, all your due diligence, that's quicker. And here's something else. A lot of people think doing exploration for geothermal is very expensive. It doesn't have to be. I actually took workover rigs. I don't know if you know what a work drilled down to 8,000 feet, multiple wells in Texas with a workover rig. And they say, but there's no power swivel. There's no, I go, well, what we did was put a device at the top and we used a duplex pump. And this was 20 or 2000. You could do this very cheaply. Just everybody thinks today you have to drill with expensive rigs. You don't. What I would tell you, I've got a list of all the things that you need for understanding where to go look, but then it comes down to understanding the heat that's in the rock at depth, and that should be straightforward. And just so you know, with that workover, it was good questions. Any more questions?
Okay.
Alan, are very common the supercritical reservoirs?
Is there opportunity? Absolutely, on the West Coast.
Uh-huh.
There is a company right now, Volcano, and they hope to start drilling, if not by the end of the year, early next year. That'll be the first hot, and it's going to be, I've told, around 330, 350 degrees Celsius.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Canada.
I would tell you, Colombia, personally, what I want to target is much hotter. And I have to tell you a story. So I was in front of, and I'll use her name, Slumberjay, and I was talking about going into hot temperatures. And he told me, Alan, I go, well, they go through much hotter temperatures. No, they can't. And I go, well, you need to read your published papers that you did, Society of 28. They drilled with roller cone bits and mud motors to 500 Celsius. So people think just because, well, I can't do it. Yes, you can do it. It's just you have to understand how you're going to do it, your safety. Like, I have packers that are all metal that expand, no elastomers. What about sliding sleeves? No elastomers. What if at the top, well control, there were no elastomers? Everything was metal seals, so you don't have to worry about damage or failure. Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Have you heard presentation from Universidad Nacional, and the lady was telling that they are designing some mats with nanotechnology.
Finding cement that can go to hotter temperatures, the types of muds. So the muds are good if you need mud. Drilling mud, rate of penetration enhancers, and then I drilled with just water. We were drilling so much faster, so we just drilled into granite so much faster. We did it with water. Guess what? Yes, we did this 30 years ago. Thank you. So this is where all these things have to come together and be learned. But the number one thing for drilling more heat is to be prepared to have coolers and chillers, so it doesn't affect your semen as much. It doesn't affect your drilling fluid. All these things come together. And most people in drilling oil and gas today, we don't think about coolers and chillers. And then they drilled on the island of ice, and they kept it cold so that we didn't melt the ice.
Okay, thank you so much.
Great question.
The judge says no more questions.
Another question. The last question, please. Luis Fernando, go ahead, please.
Thank you. 1 second. 70 degrees Celsius degrees.
I think the smartest geothermal guy in the world, and again, he heads up the Geothermal Council for Kenya. He's 35 degrees Celsius, Fahrenheit. I think that's about 50 some degrees centigrade. So many geothermal power plants. The pipe going up has been calcified by the minerals coming up. I've seen the turbines, the blades, completely calcified. So this is why I don't want the water to ever I want it to flash, and what comes up is high pressure steam, very low moisture steam, but it's high pressure. And I don't like carbon dioxide because it's bad for metals. I'm going to use ammonia. And so have the emotion.
If you want, I can send you my email.
Yes.
The email is Luis, Luis,
Luis Fernando,
Luis Fernando, luisf.sarmiento@gmail.com.
Okay.
El correo mío es luisf.sarmiento@gmail.com.
Okay. Okay, good.
okay, thank you very much, Alan. So I think we can close right now, Alan. Thank you for your participation. We have a busy agenda today, so thank you very much.
Anytime. Thank you. All right. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye bye. Vamos a revisar acá la agenda mientras revisamos. ¿No? Tenemos un overview general de de lo que se ha hecho en competencias en la área geotermal, y pues vamos a visualizar. Es un mapa de ruta como para construir las cualificaciones en la parte geotermal. En realidad es un buen punto que discutir, ya que pues como toda profesión tiene un riesgo profesional, es mejor siempre tener personas que lógicamente hagan el trabajo adecuadamente y que, digamos, tanto la sociedad como el ambiente, como también nuestras finanzas, siempre tengan la mejor respuesta posible. Hoy tenemos a Guillermo, el cual pues nos va a dar una pequeña ilustración sobre esta metodología del Marco Nacional y de Cualificaciones, intentos de estandarizar las cualificaciones. No, está abierto acá. Entonces, sí me escucho, problemita con el sonido, pero ya, sin más preámbulos, entonces le voy a dar la palabra acá a Guillermo Hoyos, que nos va a ilustrar este marco del Nacional de...
Podemos seguir una punta por acá.
Sí, ya la coloco. ¿Esta no es la tuya? Está muy bien. Ok, pues cierro. Pues es esto. Okay.
Bueno, el depositario y el driver, el que lleva la iniciativa como política de Estado, es el Ministerio de Educación Nacional. De formación ingeniero de petróleos, y tengo otras especialidades como tal. Y Alberto, que es el director de diseño y de algunas características del Marco Nacional de Cualificaciones y cómo podría jugar esta herramienta. Vamos a mirar una estrategia de cómo ampliamos nuestro catálogo a través de alguna estrategia. Realmente en Colombia, como una recomendación de la OCDE, que pues como nosotros, el país es miembro de esos sectores, tenga una mayor competitividad. Entonces se le insinuó algo, obviamente en la Comunidad Europea, donde se ha desarrollado un marco nacional de cualificación. Han habido muchos decretos y ya en concordancia con todos los sectores, el sector de energía que nos convoca, el sector de articulador, ya que nos acompaña cada dos miembros del SENA, en el cual unos 80 créditos o menos, o sea, van en esa escala. Pero hay otros que son independientes. Yo puedo ser un técnico profesional y ahí se emiten los ciclos propedéuticos. O sea, la persona va primero a adquirir un título técnico, luego un tecnólogo y luego el título profesional. La profundización, las maestrías
de energía eólica, fundamentalmente eso, esos tres, digamos, en esos tres niveles estamos avanzando sin descuidar son un poco más fuertes los temas que tenemos al desarrollo previo. Pues el SENA. El SENA es una entidad pública creada por la ley 119 del 94, es y para el trabajo, independientemente del sector, independientemente incluso de estas necesidades de formación. Entonces, cuando hablamos de sectores, pues generalmente hablamos un poco lo que decía el doctor sobre los pues, todos los sectores que conocemos, hidrocarburos, construcción, minas, energía, etcétera, etcétera. De esta manera el SENA también interna sectorialmente, pero teniendo en cuenta que por la naturaleza del SENA, ella no es una institución educativa, o sea, no formación para el trabajo o formación laboral, y está adscrita al Ministerio del Trabajo. Entonces ya hace una pequeña diferenciación entre el sistema educativo formal regido por el Ministerio de Educación y el sistema de formación para el trabajo que la cabeza. Nosotros hacemos, digámoslo así, una formación o una capacitación que podríamos llamar terminal, es decir, formamos un individuo para que se haga con realmente nuestros ciclos, nuestras formas no son propédicas, es decir, no son acumulativas para ir creciendo dentro de una línea nacional o laboral, se puede quedar allí desempeñando esas funciones o ocupaciones entonces ya empiezan a hacer nuestra estructura o niveles de formación, pues hay que tener claro que nosotros damos el nivel máximo, que es el tecnólogo del SENA y el tecnólogo de otras instituciones educativas. Es que el tecnólogo del SENA se elabora todo el diseño por competencias, normas de competencias laborales, y todo se estructura en un proceso pedagógico, teórico, práctico, por el Ministerio de Educación en el sentido de que nosotros debemos solicitar registros calificados para poder ofertar ese tipo de programas. Sin embargo, ellos tienen una diferenciación clave y esta diferenciación hace hecho un poco complejo como el doctor expresaba, el sistema plantea 3 vías fundamentales para cualificar para que se certifique la competencia de educación. Una vía que establece el Ministerio del Trabajo, que llamamos este tema, se denomina el sistema de formación para el trabajo, y una vía que es las evaluaciones que le hacen a la persona, donde se concluye que es competente y que ha adquirido las competencias, tiene las competencias. Esto también en el sentido de que su sistema de formación para el trabajo, el nivel de dentro de una vía de educación. Hay unas diferencias sustanciales que a veces no nos reconocemos, y por eso a veces pues el SENA tiene que venir trabajando inicialmente con su proceso, con su sistema de formación que está denominado por administrativa, de autorregulación, etcétera, etcétera. Eso le da una condición, una connotación muy distinta a cualquier otra institución educativa. Reglas o las normativas de orden de educación del Ministerio de Educación para los tecnólogos, para el nivel sí, de educación. Pero de ahí para abajo, los técnicos laborales, operarios, auxiliares, etcétera, etcétera, que el SENA elabora, ni permiso de ninguna otra institución del gobierno o del Estado. Es autónomo en eso. Eso dificulta un poco esa migración, o esa articulación del SENA con el Sistema Nacional de Cualificaciones, porque ya el SENA tiene estructuración de nivel, ese cambio lo vemos que no es fácil, porque eso implica primero toda una culturización, alfabetización y una medición de impactos de lo que implicaría no como formación, no como proceso formativo, sino como institución, temas y a otras gobernanzas distintas a las nuestras. Entonces, eso es un tema un poco complejo que se ha venido estudiando, cuál serían esas gráficas. Muy parecida a la que les mostró, pero aquí ya ponemos al SENA en juego, pues en la arquitectura del marco nacional de cualificaciones. Entonces vemos que una serie de niveles que van desde la básica primaria hasta llegar a los programas de doctorado, y obviamente esos niveles están relacionados con la clasificación única de ocupaciones para Colombia. Es decir, mientras que digamos que la ocupación que él realiza, pues eso hace parte o debe incluirse o estar inmerso dentro del marco nacional de niveles, y eso tiene que estar muy relacionado con el nivel de las ocupaciones de la clasificación única de ocupaciones para Colombia. Eso hace también un poco dificultoso la articulación, porque nosotros fundamentalmente trabajamos sobre clasificaciones ocupaciones y 2020-2021, no estoy mal, y eso implica también una modificación al interior de nosotros, porque nuestras ocupaciones utilizamos fundamentalmente para identificar las necesidades de los sectores productivos en cuanto a qué talento general para cualquier sistema. Nosotros tenemos que adaptarlas en nuestros programas, en nuestros curriculares, a los niveles de cualificación que correspondan. Es decir, para no sobrecalificar o cualificar a una persona dentro de la formación de tal manera que empiece a tener competencias de nivel profesional o universitario. Eso es una línea, línea delgadita que hay que Entonces, bueno, la línea amarilla, el recuadrado amarillo nos muestra la vía de la formación para el trabajo. Se plantea, uno, que los niveles laborales, que son el verde abajo, el verde brillante, que son nuestros técnicos, sistemas de formación para el trabajo, o sea, los niveles 1, 2, 3 y 4. Y el tecnólogo, que está en amarillo, que es un tecnólogo que es de ellos, el Ministerio de Educación nos otorga registros calificados para poder ofertar estos programas. Ahí tenemos una mixtura, ¿cierto? Ese tecnólogo, entonces nuestro tecnólogo, pues quedaría clasificado al mismo nivel. Sin embargo, si tú miras a la derecha de la escena, tenemos los niveles de su sistema de formación para el trabajo, que empiezan en el 1 hasta el 7 y va identificando distintas tipos de denominación de las certificaciones de cualificación que se deben otorgar. Para nosotros es una dificultad enorme. Nosotros aportamos el 30%, 40% de las metas de tecnología en el país. Entonces, girar o migrar de un tecnólogo que está por la vía educativa a un técnico avanzado nivel 5 al sistema nacional de cualificación, al sistema de formación para trabajo, pues no es tan sencillo por todos los compromisos que ya están establecidos por formar con tecnólogos. También tenemos una dificultad enorme ahí. Dos, como somos formación para el trabajo, lo sensato y lo lógico es que estemos más bien haciendo programas para su sistema de formación para el trabajo del Ministerio del Trabajo que el del Ministerio de Educación. Eso está en proceso de discusiones, reflexiones internas, etc. Y por último tenemos la vía del RAP, que es la que está más a la derecha, que es la que hablábamos, que si yo tengo experiencia, me he formado en la vida, así no haya estudiado, pero por mis ocupaciones, pues tengo una experiencia acumulada. Entonces, la idea es que sea válida, que sea certificable, que sea reconocida con una adición al tema que quiero